Anyway, Slancha, happy weekend.
Oh yeah, it's the weekend.
I got my water.
Yeah.
Your JD McPherson one.
Yeah. This thing gets used at least twice a day for coffee, water, tea. A big JD McPherson fan.
Or just a really big hater of cleaning fresh mugs.
Do you just when you're done, do you just like throw them out the window and
No,
put a
but
new
I
one?
we've kind of become something of collectors of mugs because when you travel or something, it's an easy thing to have. So we've got
Yeah.
not nearly enough space for all the mugs we have. So uh,
You need a
I
cabinet
kind
just
of
for
collect
mugs.
them on my desk and in the nightstand because we have tea before bed, and then I drink a lot of coffee in the day. So I mean, I only use one mug all day for my coffee. I'm not getting a fresh one for each cup like some kind of psychopath. But
Some kind of fool. Yep. What do you got there, Keith?
Oh, I actually had a
Oh,
record.
a record.
An original one too. This isn't the remaster. I have the remaster, but this was my dad's.
you
Nice,
actually have the original?
Yeah, this is my dad bought this on release day.
Oh my God,
nice.
that's awesome. How does it sound compared to the like remaster and remix?
It sounds well loved.
Oh, okay.
My dad played this thing out, and
I was
so
gonna
much so
say
that
it's
he,
vinyl's not like wine; it doesn't get better as you age it.
yeah, so much so that he actually bought a second one, which I have too. I have this first one, which you could see is like pretty worn.
Yeah.
I have the second one, but then the remaster that I have, um, it was like the whole edition where it came with the vinyl copies of George's demos and like outtakes, and then other tracks and jam sessions that weren't included
That's
on the final record.
that's like the 19 or it's the 2001 edition. Is that the one that has they have the extra song on it too?
I don't know. This one actually just came out. I can grab it real quick. Hold on.
Oh, okay, that's a brand new one then. Okay. He's got a nice setup over there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so as you can see here,
Holy shit.
yeah, this thing's pretty intense. Um, so it's the 50th anniversary. So that would
the
be
super
Oh,
deluxe
that's
2000.
box.
That'd be
that's
20 last year,
2020.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And this one, this is the actual record, and it comes with everything, including the poster that the record came with. And as
Oh
you
my
can
God.
see here, the sleeves are identical. So here's the original one, and here's the repressing.
Nice.
Um, Everything in the box. The only difference I noticed on the box is it says 50th anniversary, and then it comes with the EMI tapes. So these are all the demos,
Oh,
um,
oh, that's cool.
which in and of itself, it's got one, two, three, four, five records, and so it's day one, Tuesday, the 26th of May, 1970, and it goes track by track. All of the songs that like Ringo, George, um,
Nice.
I think it's Klaus Vorman, I think was playing bass on them,
Yeah, bass. Yeah.
and there's no strings or anything on these. It's just like a 3 or 4 piece band, and it's the whole
Amazing.
record.
That's
And
really cool. I haven't listened to that actually.
then it came with the book that talks about like the recording and production, and it has like a lot of the studio notes that they took. Um, a lot of pictures of them in the studio. You can see with Billy Preston.
Nice.
That is
Um,
awesome.
it just detailed accounts of like everybody who was there and who like played on the record and like what they remember about it. So
I kind of wish I wish they had, I don't know if maybe they do have it. I wish they had like video recordings of that whole session, like they did that Let It Be thing that they released. Um,
yeah, I genuinely don't think that like they anticipated this being like the legendary record that it became to be.
And
Yeah,
I think they only had the Let It Be stuff because they were in the process of trying to make a
like an actual
and
movie.
had no
Yeah,
fucking idea what they were doing, right? So it's just like, well, we'll just
yeah.
roll cameras on everything and figure it out as we go.
They're like, money's
Yeah.
not an issue. Who cares?
Yeah, and so this has been probably one of my most favorite records of all time, and I think all three of us share that.
I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
mean
true
it's
of all
hard.
of us.
It's
Yeah.
hard to find one that I'd put above it. I mean, if you start comparing across genres, like it's hard to do, but like it's got to be there.
The vast quantity of songs on it is just great too. I mean, I never really listened to the jam session as much, but like the first, I guess I'm not sure how it works with the album, but for the like digital release, it's like the first, I think it's three sides, but the first two sides are like great. There's not like
Yeah,
a song I don't like.
Yeah, although I do think the
Yeah,
quantity is probably part of what keeps it from being as high on other people's lists. I feel
yeah.
like, I mean, everyone knows it's an incredibly good record. It's not like it's underrated, I suppose, but like if instead it was curated down to just the best songs, it would be, I feel like, one of these more iconic, like just every track is a hit and also holds up, you know? Because there
I
are a
think
lot that are a little bit more like really awesome if you're a fan, but kind of like if you were just giving a casual listen, you wouldn't necessarily remember. Uh,
I think this record is important too because with those jam tracks, it's you're capturing a mix of George Harrison and Ringo, so like half the Beatles, and you got Billy Preston there, but you're also getting Eric Clapton
yeah,
and
Yeah.
Delaney and Bonnie, right? And like this album is like this really interesting like blend of like Delaney and Bonnie, Derek and the Dominoes, which was Clapton's group that did
yeah,
Layla, and the Beatles and Phil Spector, and it's like they took a it's like you had 5 or 6 different pies on the table and you took a slice of each one and you like made a plate, and that's what this
No,
record is.
actually, there's
yeah.
a Phil Collins is even on one of the tracks apparently playing drums,
Yeah,
Oh, I
which
didn't
yeah,
is
know
kind of
that.
crazy. Yeah, and then actually I think Badfinger, that band kind of formed shortly after this, from what I remember. Like if you know Badfinger,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
they did like Come and Get It, and so there's like a bunch
Well,
of
and that's a Lennon and McCartney song too.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were on like Apple Records, right, or something. They were somehow.
Yeah.
mhm.
So really, like, it's this record is almost like a really well blended smorgasbord of like a lot of artists, like a lot of like top quality artists at this time.
Yeah, it's like a time capsule, but at the same time has a lot of hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had like a huge catalog of songs that he hadn't used because the Beatles would only give him like, or Lennon McCartney would give him like two or three songs an album. So he just started like amassing like vast catalog of things he hadn't released yet. And you just,
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, when I listen to his like kind of all his albums, it seems like Harrison put like all of his energy into this one. Then everything after that, he was just kind of like, yeah, I'm just having fun. This one, like, it just seemed like it was like his heart and soul. At least that's how
I
I
think
feel when I listen to the other records.
I think this was um, very therapeutic for him. Like I think he had a lot of pent up emotion for a lot of different reasons, but also like a lot of built up music. And so I think that like when you watch the Let It Be documentary and you see how he kind of like stormed off at that one point, like he was dealing with some stuff, and you know there was some suppression going on like within the band, and I think that like this record is him just like letting go of all of it. It was like cathartic, therapeutic, like a creative release.
Yeah. Although it's kind of interesting in the Let It Be thing that I didn't really, because I always thought like the whole, oh, they only gave him so many songs, he was relegated. But he also, I think, just needed to like, he like needed the breakup to grow, I think. Because even when they're like trying to get him to do his songs, it's like, oh, well, it's not really ready yet, or it's not fully formed. Needed
It's
to
not
just
right for
kind of like,
this. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like some self-sabotaging almost, like this kind of feeling like he's not good enough for it, almost on from his side even, and clearly just getting over that and just fuck it. Here's all my awesome shit I've been working on. 'Cause, I mean,
I
almost all my
wonder.
favorite Beatles songs are George Harrison songs. I mean,
Yeah,
it's got to be like half of my top 10.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was a little bit more reserved in that because he. This is just speculation. He like had the direct image of like where he wanted it to be and knew that like it might stray from that with like dominating personalities of like Paul and John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it's
probably.
just also I think Let It Be was they wanted Paul wanted everything live, and in his mind he's like these songs aren't really meant to be live. The ones that he like is he I remember I think he played All Things Must Pass was one of the things that he showed. He showed him quite a few songs, but a lot of them I think in his head he mentioned too he wanted them produced and he wanted to have like kind of an orchestra in the background.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's probably that element to it too.
Yeah, that documentary was so cool. I mean, just you like read all the different takes on all their personalities, but to actually see them playing out in person, I mean, because like John and Paul were like crazy strong personalities, but also like kind of completely opposite in their sort of management style, if you want to call it
Yeah.
that. uh, but yeah,
With us talking about the artist who played on it, that's a really good segue because we were going to talk about like our favorite songs on it, and mine was Behind That Locked Door.
mm,
Um, Not only is do I think that it's very well written, and also lyrically it's fantastic. Um, but Peter Drake, or known as Pete Drake, he was the pedal steel player that played on that, and Pete Drake was a session player in Nashville from the late 50s all the way through the early 90s, I believe. And Pete Drake was extraordinarily influential in many ways, not only because he played on like songs like Stand By Your Man, GI Blues. He played on the soundtracks to like almost all of the Elvis movies, Clam Bake and Speedway. He played on The Bed of Roses, which was a Sattler Brothers song, which you hear in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Um, he played on a lot of Dolly Parton songs, including Jolene, and he backed artists on tour like Jerry Lee Lewis, Marty Robbins, Don Gibson, Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Bob Dylan, and Carl Perkins. And he also had a big impression or impact, I should say, on music because he was the innovator of the voice box, like the talk box.
Oh,
I,
okay.
he had, I think it was like a 1960 hit, and it's like Pete Drake and his talking pedal steel guitar, and like you can see he has the tube in his mouth, and he's like talking, and it's a really creepy sound, right? It's like not like the Joe Walsh or like Peter Frampton sound. It's like a lot more like weird. um, it is a little creepy, and there's if you look it up on YouTube, there's actually like this like little like really creepy like mechanical like thing that dances to it. But like he innovated this idea, and his playing on that, of course he doesn't use the voice box on Behind That Locked Door, but like his playing on that just brings like so much of like Nashville and like the old country feeling to that song, and I think it's just was like it was perfect. There's not a better way to put it.
nice.
I
I mean, I agree that that's like a really good track, and I think the pedal steel is what really makes it stand out.
I thought I'm an idiot. I thought Harrison was playing the pedal steel.
Let's see if we can find this. Okay, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm trying something new here. Authorize.
Mhm.
Let's authorize this. Pete Drake talk box, right? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, or like Pete Drake's talking pedal steel guitar or something like that is I think the video on YouTube, and there's one of him doing it like in a studio, like a sound stage, and he
This is
couldn't
rude
do
because
it
we're talking about
live.
how great he is, and we're gonna find this gimmicky, weird thing with the skeleton here.
Yes, yeah.
Got it. I'm into this. I like it.
Oh wow.
I like the skeleton too.
Oh, you know what? This isn't it. Can you go back to the search?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Open playlist. Yeah, there we go.
It took a long time for it to start on my end.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I don't know what I'm doing.
No, me too.
That's
Actually,
prob-
I forgot I didn't click on the thing I was supposed to right away. And like
Yeah,
skeleton.
you
I'm like,
guys,
oh,
you
I'm falling asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
That's me.
Pete Drake and his talk box on Jimmy. Can you see that? What I see? Do you see what I see?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Then I'll just click other things, and just see how this goes. Oh, okay. This is kind of weird. Yeah, I'm like managing. This is all on the recording. Is watching what I'm doing too.
Yeah.
Yes, this is one of them. Yeah.
Love the name on the pedal steel.
The guy to his right kind of looks like Norm Macdonald.
A little bit.
A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah. R.I.P.
Pete is a steel guitar player, but he's not just another steel guitar player. He spent a great deal of time with this little gadget right here, and he developed something that I think you're going to
I love his
find
outfit,
rather
too.
interesting. They refer to him as Pete Drake and his talking guitar. And I want to get him to do something for you. And you ready, Pete? I'm ready. All right. You all wired up and everything? All right. Let's go then. All right. I'm just a guitar. Everybody bets on me.
Oh, this is really
I
cool.
love it.
I'm just a guitar. Everybody bets on me.
This is like so ahead of its time. This
Yeah.
is like that. Yeah.
These blues may be playing has got me full of misery.
Ooh, that's
It's actually
feel-
really
oh,
cool.
that's-
Because
yeah,
it is
I-
a little creepier than like the ones, but that almost makes it better because it's like
no. I really like that. I'm surprised nobody's ever sampled that. Like,
actually that
really
would be
cool.
really cool.
no, it
Like
kind of
literally
just made me think
that
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
the hook
Yeah.
as a
that's
sample
awesome.
on like a more up tempo track would be really cool.
Remember that. No,
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool.
Got to get like a high quality recording of it, I guess, or as
Keith,
high
get
as
on it.
possible. I mean, I guess the beauty of it is it's so processed already that it's okay if it's a little bit like crunchy and
Yeah.
tapey. So,
I want,
nice.
I want
That was cool.
But yeah,
I
that's
like that.
that's the guy that played that solo on that song. on,
Okay,
Nope.
yeah.
I know.
No kidding.
I knew the name and I knew that he was a pedal steel guy. I didn't know he was on that song, and I didn't know.
That he made his guitar talk.
Yeah, that he did that. Yeah, and in fact, it would have been like the last thing I would have. How did Watch Together go? Great, thank you. Okay, yeah.
The only thing I knew about this song was I think he wrote it with Bob Dylan, and this was kind of his mess. It was like his message to Bob Dylan. He said Bob Dylan wasn't very open, and it was this him writing the song of him was him trying to kind of come out of his shell a little bit when they're hanging out. Is that correct, Keith? I think you're more of an expert.
I don't know as much about like the ideologies or like the philosophy behind the music, but
Okay.
that as you're talking about it, it sounds familiar. And if George was saying that, that's not the first artist I've heard say that about Bob Dylan.
I mean, it makes sense. I would have guessed that.
And I think
Okay,
that,
yeah. So actually, I think you're right. According to Wikipedia, in mid-August 1969, Bob Dylan had confounded the media's expectations by shunning the Woodstock Festival. Yada 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 yada. George Harrison. Yada yada. Basically, what Socko said.
And if I had to hypothesize, I wonder if George was introduced to Pete Drake through Bob Dylan because they were both Nashville guys, like in the '60s. And I know that Pete Drake played on Bob Dylan tracks. I just don't know like the years of them, but there's the overlapping circle right there.
Okay, nice. Yeah. you say something, Sock? Sorry, I didn't catch
Oh
it.
no.
Oh, okay.
I was just
Sorry.
watching the video still.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
hmm. For some
Okay.
reason I can't see. Yeah.
No, it's well, I think it's I don't know. I stopped sharing it together. At least I think I did. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't see it on my end. So
Oh,
Oh,
I
it's
guess I
playing
could
on.
rejoin it. I think you're capable of still going back in. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, now I've made Socrates big. I'm trying to get back to where I can see everybody. Uh, I just want. Okay, whatever. This is what I want. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So, what's your favorite track, Sock?
um, what's interesting? The favorite track is probably um, let's see. It's not the one I wanted to talk about. My favorite track is probably between like "What Is Life" and "My Sweet Lord." I think everybody likes those, but I really like "Beware of Darkness." That's probably like one of my favorite tracks on there. It's just really different. It has like a really dark feel to it, and it's interesting. Like with the new remix that came out, I kind of compare that to the previous ones. There's things I like about both. Like the new remix, like all the other songs, everything's just so clear. There's such like a clarity to it. It seems like they took a lot of the reverb off. But it kind of loses a little bit of the darkness and kind of power of the original. I don't know what it is, if there's more reverb on, I'm sure there is on Clapton's guitar, but there's a real bite to it on like the kind of the original version as compared to the remix. But I just really like the feel of the song. It's really different. The lyrics are very, very kind of intriguing and interesting. Um,
Yeah,
do you have
I
any
mean, and
thoughts on it? Yeah.
that's definitely like one too where like I didn't feel like the original was like overdone. A lot of the songs, it the original tracks like you've got that like Phil Spector kind of like
Wall of
huge.
sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Beware of Darkness is like one of the ones where I'm like I'm not sure it needed the update as much. Like and so it's one where I think I might prefer the original. I don't know. On a lot of it, I'm like, okay, the new one is better, and maybe it's just because it's fresh and exciting
Yeah.
and you know sexy in that regard. But like, I don't know. I kind of agree that there's like something a little bit lost, and it is one of the best. One of my favorites, I should say, on there as well. It reminds me a lot, and I admit that I'm was I Me Mine a Harrison song?
Yeah.
I was just looking at the because I'm cheating. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. I had it up for All Things Must Pass just so I could look at the track listing, and then I
Yeah.
clicked through, and you clicked said Beware of Darkness, and they weren't even comparing it. They were just saying the documentary or autobiography I Me Mine, and somehow it's got that same vibe. It's just a little bit like beautiful but sinister
Yeah.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
No, I
I really
just.
like. Go ahead, Keith.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I know I just got done saying like I don't know like the philosophy behind a lot of these songs, but this has one of my favorite lines in it. Watch out now, take care, beware of soft shoe shufflers
It's a good one.
dancing down the sidewalk.
It's just
And it's
it
like,
just feels good to say.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like you don't know what he's talking about, but like you know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, yeah. If you asked me to define that, I wouldn't be able to, but it makes sense.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, the lyrics are good. I mean, the whole album, the lyrics are good, but this one, I guess they really shine too. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Clapton's guitar playing is like really good for the song too.
It's perfect
It's not
for
overly
that. Yeah.
it's not yeah, it's not overly complicated, but it's perfect. I also the this is probably one of my favorite. I think the bridge sections is probably one of my favorite bridges on the whole album too. It's
Ba-na-na-na-na. That is so
yeah,
cool. It's like
or
such
the
a
yeah
it's such a change and it's like
Yeah.
so fluid.
I saw who did I see? I saw this is like a complete non sequitur, but I was on I don't know Twitter or somewhere social media, and I saw like an interview with like Sting of all people, I guess. And one of the things he was saying when he was talking about modern music that he doesn't like is that the bridge is kind of a lost art.
Yeah.
That a lot of pop songs don't seem to have this like you're like kind of on a story, you're going in a different direction, and then that change where it's like, but maybe it's all okay, and then but no, then back, and somehow like the breath of fresh air that gives. And I kind of agreed. Like there are some people who do in terms of like the pop sphere that do reasonably good bridges. If I was trying to think of like who, I mean, if we're talking about like very very poppy stuff, I suppose like Taylor Swift writes a decent bridge, uh, and can do that like
Or
change up a little bit. But a lot of
or
a
she
lot
at
of
least
songs
tries to.
don't, where
Yeah.
it's just like one note the whole way.
I think it's kind of what we talked about last time too. Like a lot of modern songs, they stick to like a certain amount of chords. They stick to like a specific kind of melody range, and they don't stray from it because they kind
Yeah,
of stick
Very
to what works.
very limited bandwidth.
yeah,
Yeah.
And like I almost feel like the bridge, I don't listen to a lot of pop music, but I almost feel like the bridge has been kind of replaced by like a breakdown.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because you need something to give you like a pause to make the final like chorus really like go.
Powerful.
But yeah,
It's almost like yeah, I like that, Joe. It's almost like they still have the pause, but they stopped putting the energy into like making it creative.
yeah. You spent less effort on it. Just like okay, we'll just literally pause, and maybe
Yeah.
have all the energy come down, and then build it back for something. Uh, but yeah, I mean, some people still do, but I do think like this song in particular is a good example of like using that so well. Uh, nice. I think for
Did you?
me, the song it's I don't know if it's my favorite on, but the one that like for me just feels like the thing that captures the soul of the album the most, and so I always think of it as my favorite song is Wah Wah, just because it's like it's that
Mm.
like organized chaos, all these like great artists just kind of like almost just like throwing all of their shit at the wall and it somehow works. And that's kind of what the album feels like a little bit.
I
It
I
just
thought the remix that they came out with just that really does that song justice too.
yes, and it was the one that I think most needed the remix. If Beware of
Yes.
Darkness is maybe the one that didn't need it, Wah was the one that needed it the most. Because you go back and listen to the old one after listening to the remix, and you're like, God, that's a lot of just noise.
It's
Uh,
chaotic. It
Yeah.
is very chaotic.
and that's what I like about it, but it is too much once you kind of really start thinking about it. It
That's
only
one
works
song.
because the
Yeah.
people playing on it are so fucking talented.
I, there's,
Like,
I think there's like three. I think there's like three drum sets playing in that song too.
I
It's like
love the
literally crazy.
the
Yeah.
concert for Bangladesh where they've got like the
Oh
two
yeah.
drummers who are literally just playing in sync. It's like Ringo and I forget who the
Oh,
other one was.
I'm not
And
sure
they're
who it
like,
is
I think
either.
I think one of the memories I have that's just like a flashpoint of watching that in my mind is like I think that song where it like cuts to them and they're just like perfectly in sync doing like a drum fill. Uh, which is funny because I don't think they rehearsed all that much for that, and yet they still managed to just like show up and like
I guess that's what happens when you're good.
So when you're good.
yeah.
I know I've talked to you guys about like the Nashville musicians, but they'd show up at the night of the Grand Ole Opry and just say, "Stand by your man" in A. Okay,
Yeah.
let's do it. And you get to a point where like you're getting called out for a show, and you see the set list like on the way there, and you're like, okay,
I think it's a bit of a like a lost art in the sense that like I know some people are still this good. There's plenty of people who are doing this stuff still, but I feel like the way they teach music in like sort of like the kind of school level stuff that at least I was first exposed to it, like the art of just being like knowing music and being able to be flexible rather than just like okay here's the sheets, play the notes. uh I feel like there's very few, you have to be really really good to actually get that kind of music instruction, whereas my sense is I don't know, I don't know how many years back, but 20-30 years ago, I mean even like it's like when I did the street scenes thing. I don't know if you ever saw any of those like videos in high school. But even like some of the cohorts that went through before we were in it, I was always in the band, and it was kind of like this high school like vaudeville show almost, in that it was just a bunch of people like doing a bunch of songs, and it was all stringing together in like a theme, but like a little catch can. But like before I came, a lot of the piano players and stuff literally were just like, okay, I'll just transpose this on the fly and like play it or whatever. Like just give me the basic idea of what I need to do and I'll just do it. And then by the time we were in it, it was like, oh, you want to transpose it? That's going to take these like tell someone to transpose something. It's going to take them weeks of like going through and like changing all of the notes to the right notes or whatever, and like writing it all out, and like which for me, I also couldn't do it on the fly. I mean, I'm a little bit capable if we're just kind of reading chords and I can move it from one key to another or something, but I don't know. I feel like it's a lost art.
I feel like you're kind of talking about musicianship.
Yeah.
And I feel like musicianship is a lost art.
Yeah. Just being able to sit around and being like, okay, I understand some key concepts, and so if you just give me the key, and maybe it takes me a couple times of you playing through it to really get the structure, but I get it, and can just pick it out and go. Yeah. But yeah, that's the word, musicianship.